Day: Resurgence is the newest film from director Roland Emmerich and is a sequel to one of the most smash hits of the 1990s, which is the first Independence Day. Now, the first film I grew up watching when I was younger, and I remember when I first watched it, it aired on Fox, and I really enjoyed the first one a lot. I thought that as a fun blockbuster movie, it really was what it was. You know, it's dumb, it's fun. It has all your typical cliches with, you know, your disaster movie tropes where you have characters trying to survive from this apocalypse happening with the aliens coming down, and you get your typical set of characters that are out to go out their way to stop the aliens, which you had Will Smith, you had Jeff Goldblum, you had Judd Hirsch, and you also had Bill Pullman, and you had, among others. You know, at the time it was considered the most groundbreaking disaster films that came out because it very relied not only on scale models, but also used heavy use of computer-generated effects, which at the time and to this day I still find really fascinating. You know, it really, I feel like to this day I can still watch the first Independence Day and still have a good time with it. The story was still, you know, when it needed to be serious, it got serious, and when it needed to be fun, it had some really funny moments for it. And it's your typical action movie disaster film, but I mean, it did serve what it was. And I never expected them to make a sequel 20 years later, because now we have because the director initially planned to make this for a while. It's just that due to many delays and to a lot of script changes, the production fell through, and it wasn't until recently, finally, that he got around to making the movie. And lo and behold, before the movie even came out, I was speculating, because I noticed that they got all the main characters, or mostly everyone, from the first film to come back, except Will Smith. And I was kind of wondering, like, okay, that's weird, you know, you're doing Independence Day 2, but you're not, you know, you're not bringing back your main star from the original movie. And I know there's a lot of different topics that came up, whether the reasoning behind Will Smith's refusal to come back to the movie. Some say he wanted more money, and some say that he was done with doing sci-fi movies and he wanted to do something else. I don't know what happened, but I really wish he could have came back. You know, if they could at least get the same cast from the original, at least most of them come back, it would have been cool to see Will Smith playing his character again, because he was my favorite part of the first one. So we get into Independence Day: Resurgence, where now it's 20 years later, and the aliens find out there's a distress signal that happens where the original President Whitmore, played by Bill Pullman, was announcing, when he announced Independence Day in the first film, that caused a signal to be made outside of Earth to that the aliens finally received a call. And so now we get something that's even bigger than what we had the last time, where besides the mothership, you're getting like pretty much the queen of all the aliens. And I wasn't expecting a whole lot with this film. You know, I just assumed that it was just going to be what it was. You know, I went into this film knowing of all the stuff that I seen in the trailer, where you got Liam Hemsworth joining the cast, and you get now an older version of Will Smith's son, played by a different actor than from the original movie, so he's grown up now. And you also see other characters that are introduced too, that are part of the storyline, that are all part of the same, or that are part of the storyline that come in and out. And I can honestly say, like, this film just, I didn't hate it, but it's not really something that I'm going to remember. It's a very forgettable disaster film. So we have the plot that goes on where you have the aliens pretty much coming down to Earth to finally destroy everything that they left off from the first film after 20 years. And now they built an even bigger ship, and now it shows that there's a new space, I think it was called ESD or something like that, that Liam Hemsworth and Will Smith's son, or sorry, his stepson from the original film have joined, and they're going to take it out. So I can honestly say that this film has some things going for it, but there's also some things that are not. And they get introduced to a lot of different characters that are coming here and there. Like, you're getting new characters, including these group of kids that are in this bus that are going around, and you also get another character who's like a comic relief to Liam Hemsworth's character, and then you also get another comic relief who's another scientist, and, well, this is not a spoiler because in the trailer, they bring back the main scientist guy from the first film, played by Brett Spiner. And so, as the movie goes on, you start to see all these characters crumble together, and they're having to survive from this alien attack, while the military and everyone is trying to go stop the aliens. Okay, seems simple enough, but man, okay, here are my big cons for the film. I really thought the direction of this film was very sloppy. It had a lot of pacing issues for me that kept dragging here and there. Like, you would have a long build up to seeing before the aliens actually attack, and I understand you're trying to do build up for introducing these characters and everything, but it drags on for a long while before anything happens. And then when action does happen, it does kind of go by pretty fast. I mean, that whole destruction scene, and I'm not going to spoil anything for this film, but that whole destruction scene that you see in the trailer, it goes on for a little while longer in the movie, but there's really no, like, impact to it. You know, I had a problem with that where they build a bigger scope with the movie, which is interesting, but they don't really do much as far as, you know, blowing the stuff up. Because at this point, Roland Emmerich, a director who's known for making disaster films, you know, like The Day After Tomorrow and 2012 and all that, he seems to, for this one, he seemed to kind of step back a little as far as blowing buildings and stuff up, which is, I know this is supposed to be a dumb action movie, but man, that does kind of lack substance right there. I mean, I'm sorry, not substance. That does lack style there, because, you know, you would expect to see more things happening with the buildings and everything, but no, you see a lot of landmarks blow up, but it really doesn't last too long. Another problem I have with the film is there's just way too many characters in this movie that I really did not care about. I didn't care about Liam Hemsworth's character. I didn't care the fact that, you know, he's in love with the main girl who's the daughter of the president. I didn't care about the main scientist dude again from the first one. I liked Brett Spiner in the first one. I thought he was, you know, quirky and very eccentric, but this one, he annoyed me. Like, he was really just, every time he would say something that's supposed to be funny, I just didn't laugh. And you also have the things going on with Cella Ward, who plays the president, and she's really incompetent because she doesn't really do much as far as the action. You know, she just kind of just gives orders on video screens and tells the men what to do. She doesn't really have like any. She doesn't have that. I mean, he's in the movie too, but she doesn't have like that oomph like Bill Pullman had in the first movie. You know, and I also just thought the way the action is set up, I felt like they did lack a lot of what was happening. You know, there was a lot of things that kept going by so fast in the action department that they kind of just cut away after a while, and then they cut back to other scenes where they're running away from the aliens. You know, it just felt like the pacing, it'll be going like really slow, and then it'll kind of go pick up a little fast, but then it'll go back slow again. You know, it just really bothers me with things like that happen. And another problem I had too is the acting. Like, otherwise, I thought Liam Hemsworth was just okay. Like, he had one funny joke that was cool that he did with the aliens, but otherwise, I've just never really cared for Liam Hemsworth, and his performance is okay at best, but it's nothing special. You know, he dealt with what he had to. He worked with what material he had, but it was nothing really to go home about. His character, though, was just incompetent. He was always trying to be cocky about things, and he just reminded me too much of stuff I've already seen before in other movies. You know, I've seen this type of action hero. He reminds me so much of that guy from the Warcraft movie, the one I didn't like, the main knight. I can't remember his name, but he reminded me of that guy. And he was very bland and forgettable. And now, as far as things that I liked, I did like the idea of them making a bigger ship, and I also, and this is kind of, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but you do get to see more of the different like types of aliens that they expand upon in the first film, or that they expand upon to the first film. So I do like that approach of what they were doing as far as the story, and there were some other things I liked too. I also enjoyed the performances of Bill Pullman coming back because I really like his storyline with how he's trying to warn everyone about the alien attack. And I also enjoyed. I actually thought the guy who played the kid who played Will Smith's stepson in the movie, I thought he did fine. I thought he was. He wasn't. I mean, he didn't really have much to do as far as his character, but I thought that for his performance, it was fine. And I also enjoyed seeing Jeff Goldblum again. You know, it was good seeing him back from the first one. He made me laugh at times. His humor and his dad's from the first one, Judd Hirsch, I thought their humor worked really well together, and it was good seeing them again as well. But I did have problems with some of the stuff they were leading to because they really did, like all the ones, some of the characters that we see in the first film, they don't really give them much material to work with, so they're really just not. They're not really what the main focus of the movie, which kind of made me feel a little disappointed. I was like, man, they could have used more of those characters, but they do underuse a lot of them. So, and another thing I also enjoyed too was I loved the visuals. I thought that Roland Emmerich, at this point, since he's been known for just strictly using CGI, I thought that the CGI did work perfectly fine with the aliens. You know, I liked the look they had for them, and also like the ships that they built, because I'm not sure if he used models again this time for the ships, but for what he used for it, they looked pretty good. You know, they did have a good scale that really put the movie at a good atmosphere for when they're actually getting to the action. And I also enjoyed the music too, like especially this theme that goes or at the very beginning. So I also enjoyed that, and I also liked a couple of the action scenes that they had when they were on the ground. But yeah. Other than that, though, I mean, the movie is what it is. You know, I know there's a lot of people that really hate the film, or they say it's not too bad. Me, I'm just kind of in the middle. Like, it is exactly what I thought it was going to be. So I can't say I hated it, and I can't say I liked it either. It was just in the middle. You know, I'm not going to remember watching this movie at the end of the day. I'm going to get on with watching other films, and I'll watch the first one again compared to this one. So I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10. So I'd say, just out of curiosity, if you really like the first film and you really do want to check this one out, I'd say probably just Redbox it, or at least catch it on Netflix or something. It's really not. It's not really something that I would really check out in the theaters. There will be more reviews coming up here in the future, and if you like what you see here, you can subscribe to Film Freaks. I'll be seeing you guys later.